Namaste friends. Today we are going to discuss Ulgulan to Rastrapati Bhavan, Birsa Munda's enduring legacy in women's leadership and empowerment. As we all know that India is observing right now Janjatiya Gaurav Divas on the birthday of Birsa Munda. At the same time, it's 150th birth anniversary of Bhavan Birsa Munda. In this discussion, we are going to engage feminist critique of the representation of tribal women through gender lens, in which we will discuss about Birsa Munda's 150th birth anniversary, that is a milestone in Indian history and civilization. We will revisit about Ulgulan requires a historical grounded gender lens. Ulgulan is a great tumult of 1899 to 1900. During those days, under the leadership and supervision of Bhavan Birsa Munda, the tribal population in Jharkhand, they revolted against British rule, and the repression of that British rule was challenged. So we are going to give a gender lens on the movement, because the women role usually that is completely erased or ostracized. They are completely neglected in the historiography of British time. So we are going to study the annals of the history and the role of women, tribal women, in that society, in those movements, especially the Ulgulan movement, and tribal women's role that was silenced. They couldn't be found in the archives, and whatever we collected, that is through preserved memory or the oral history. So their leadership shaped the resistance and the reform and transformation that we will discuss today. Why a gender representation? Colonial archives erased women's agency. Women played very much a crucial role in the entire movement of 1899-1900 against the British repressive rule. But their role is completely either neglected or erased. You couldn't find in the archives of different places like National Archive of India or the Oriental Archives of Kolkata or Shimla. You didn't find the mention of the women and their contribution, because there was a substantial biasness, and women are not the primary available in the public places during those days, and British were engaged in their governance administration, so their role was completely ignored. We will engage different theories like gender theory. We will go for ecofeminism. We will go for post-colonial engagement. At the same time, we have critical theory, like we will engage our discussion on this women's role that was missing over there through there are so many different type of theories that we will engage in our this discussion, like relative tribal egalitarian enabler wider participation. You can find that the society, the tribal society, that is more gender egalitarian. The male and female, whatever the discrimination you can find in our society, especially the mainstream, you can find that they are well off, and the patriarchy over there is very much residual form, because women are in the labor and they usually the leader of the public places also, in the past as well as the present also, especially after the government has adopted Panchayati Raj, and 1/3 seats are already reserved for the women, including the tribal women also through PESA 1996, in which Panchayati Raj institutions were extended up to the scheduled areas also. So the role of women, that is very much substantial, that can be realized through this discussion and the study. Or the mainstream society of participation of women, they are more active agent of change. The quotias became the command center. At the same time, they were sending the messages and informing. They are informants for the movement, and they were caretakers. If there are some people, they are freedom fighters, they are victimized. Women's mobility and labor autonomy, that was also engaged in this activity. At the same time, rituals and the cultural transmission role, the influence in the community decision making. Women played a very crucial role in the entire movement of 1900, this movement against the British rule. But they were neglected in the historiography. But through the folklores or through the oral history, their songs, we can find that women were very much active in the entire movement those days. So women as political and cultural anchors, courtyards transformed into the command spaces. Courtyards is usually in the family, any family, nuclear family or the combined family, you can find that the women play a very much crucial role. They are the center of the gravity. And that courtyard became commanding office for the entire movement because the women have participated very actively. Kinship networks as mobilization grids. The offsprings and the children, they are also very much part and parcel of the family, and they obey the women. So women allowed them, engaged them as the informant, as the logistics for the purpose of revolt against the British rule, and that was very much visible. That can be recorded and that can be found in the folklores, in the oral history of the tribal population. At the same time, songs and the rituals used as coded communication among them. Now we look into the history of tumult, and you can find that there are many women, they are prominent, they played very prominent role in the movement, like her name was Sali, and she was the second wife of Birsa Munda. She protected Birsa when he was to be arrested by the British rule in 1899 movement. Maki Munda, she was wife of Gaya Munda, the lieutenant of Birsa Munda. He was a very much reliable and loyal person of the Birsa Munda during the entire movement. So Maki Munda, she rebelled and she played a very active role. At the same time, Gaya Munda's three daughters, Thiggi, Nagi and Lembu, they fought and they were very much radical in their approach. So they revolted against the Britishers and they were imprisoned also. They were incarcerated for almost 2 entire long years, rigorous imprisonment for revolting against the British rule. At the same time, hundreds of the women, they are martyred. That was completely erased from the Indian colonial archives because the role of the women was neglected, but women was there, the agency, they are the engine of the entire movement, they are the engine of the change and transformation of the community, so we can't ignore them. At the same time, you can find that women play a very crucial role in ecofeminism. Ecofeminism, that earth and its ecology is very much close, resemble or replica to the women. Women is also a caretaker. They always represent a symbol of birth and growth. So whatever the vegetation or forest, plantation, female play a very significant role. So women as custodians of the forest ecology, seed preservation and the herbal knowledge, water resources, opposition to the mining and the land alienation. You are well aware that the entire zone of eastern region that was very much rich in the mines and minerals. So extraction of the mines through different type of sources, like during the British period, British were denoted and extracting the minerals and mines. So they were opposing them because if this mining and deforestation continued, they had to be displaced. They had to be migrated from the place. It's their loss of the land, at the same time forest and the mines and minerals. So ecology as the moral basis of the resistance, and women were the agent of it who played a very crucial role. So through the theory of ecofeminism, we find that women are the custodian of the vegetation or the plantation ecology of the entire region. Now we come with the another theory, that is constructivist approach, that talks about the identity, that talks about the culture of any society or the people, and they played a very crucial role in identity shaped through the collective struggle. In any struggle or any movement that is fought collectively through concerted efforts. So the identity of women that play a very crucial role in the entire movement of 1899, 90, 1900 under the strong leadership of Birsa Munda. Women carried ritual continuity. At the same time, there was a religious sect that was propagated by Birsa Munda, that is called Barsite, that was consciousness and reinforced unity. And he always talked about the righteous things. the saving of and protection of the entire vegetation, plantation, and he was very much vocal against the British repression. So culture transmitted through women. Women play a very crucial role in the entire movement. Now we move to the other theory that is called critique of Orientalism, in which the colonial powers or the Britishers, the imperialist power, they usually critique. They find that the entire Orient or the eastern part of the globe, they are uncivilized, uncultured, and their historiographers or history tellers, storytellers, they usually complain that the people of this region, they are uncivilized, they are uncultured, they are barbarous, and they are uncouth, but that is not true at all. Whatever we are less close because of our climate condition, and you can find the rich history of India and the Orient. When the entire Europe was uncivilized and under the veil of ignorance, the Indian civilization or the Eastern civilization of like Mesopotamia or Egypt, that were very rich and at its zenith. So these oral traditions preserved resistance memories. So the participation of the women in the entire movement that you can find in the folklores and the oral history of the women and the oral tradition also. They were indigenous feminist narratives reclaimed that very much significant and the important role played by the tribal women in the entire movement against the British rule. Now we move to the other theory of resource curse in the tribal regions. You are already well aware that the entire eastern belt of India, the area of Jharkhand, West Bengal, and Odisha, Chhattisgarh, this part is very much rich with the minerals. So these minerals rich, but they were economically deprived wealth, displaced and ecological loss. The industrialists, they usually target these regions for the excavation and extraction of the minerals, and finally deforestation also happened. So the tribal population, they are forced to migrate, they are forced to leave the place and displaced. So it is considered a type of the curse for them because they are resourceful, but they are economically they are deprived. So women face a higher livelihood vulnerability over there. Women-led anti-mining environmental movements were also running in those places to sustain and to empower the entire region, and that movement was very much helpful in the empowerment of the region. Women in the wilder freedom struggles. Now we again return to counting the women's role in the Bhavan Birsa Munda's movement of 1899-1900, but earlier also during the Santhal movement of 1856, they participated, and they were the healer, they were logistics helper, they were informer, and the ritual mobilizers. During the Tana Bhagat movement, there was a tribe that is called Orao, that was highly inspired by the Satyagraha movement of Mahatma Gandhi, and they played a very crucial role in propagating the non-violent movement among the tribal population of India. So this Tana Bhagat movement, you can also realize that, especially the need of rewriting the history of the entire population, which was ignored by the colonial historians. Forest and the land protection movements across Singhbhum, Koraput, Sundargarh saw women as ecological defenders also. So felling the trees or deforestation, denudation of the hills, that these all acts were registered by the women. They were the first defenders of our movement of forest and the land protector, and they played a very crucial role in forest and the land protection movements across the Singhbhum, Korapat, and that was considered a very crucial role. Women led anti-extraction coalitions also, and they were actively participating in anti-addiction also to run the society in a well-behaved manner. Now we move to the cultural part of this, cultural foundation of the leadership, like Sarna sacred groves and rituals, shared labor and social cohesion. Women played a very crucial role in shared labor because in the tribal society, they are as active as male or sometimes more. Even the labor forces as women, they go for 20% of the labor work, and male are subservient over there, and they play very social cohesive role also because the children are always attached to the women. The education system of education of the children, or the health care, or the rear end care of these all things are taken care by the household and the run by the women. Clan-based governance also very much a crucial part of the women. And after adoption of PESA of 1996, the government extended the Panchayati Raj system in those areas, and the women became the leader, like Mukhiya Sarpanch of the Panchayati Raj system, and they were the decision makers. And you can find that the society was more emancipated and more empowered through leadership of the women. Women's spiritual authority and cultural guidance was also very much integral part of these movements. Now we again move into our from Ulgulan to national leadership. It is 150th year of continuum of struggle. The struggle, which was started in 1875, continued till 2020, continued till attainment of freedom, and we are celebrating the 150th year of that struggle right now on the birth anniversary of, that is a milestone of Birsa Munda, and the transformation identity and the governance, whatever the transformation that is very much visible in our tribal society in the last 150 years. The tribal women's expanding visibility, now they are easily visible, and they are active participants in the Panchayati Raj system. At the same time, historical memory is shaping modern agent. The very great example or representation by our Honorable President of India. She belonged to Santhal tribal community, and she was started her career with a teacher. Later on, she elected as MLA. She became governor between 2015 to 2021, and now on 2022, she became the first tribal women president of India. So the empowerment or the strengthening of the power of the women can easily visualize. That is an example for the entire world that a tribal woman can attain the summit, the highest position of the democracy. That is the President of India. And our present President of India, Honorable Srimati Draupadi Murmu, is the symbol of that attainment of leadership or the highest summit of leadership of the entire country. Her journey from Mayurbhanj to Rastrapati Bhavan was exemplary, at the same time embodiment of resilience and the moral leadership that can easily be visualized in her way of leadership and the way she ascended the steps in her entire career. Now we try to discuss some government's initiative that was taken in last decade from 2014 to 2025. Like government came with the DAP-ST. It's a program for the development of the tribal society that is called a Development Action Plan for the Scheduled Tribe Community. And there are 42 ministers. They are allocated with the fund for their empowerment, for their emancipatory different type of activities. 11 tribal freedom fighters museums were erected, in which, like in 2021, the Birsa Museum was erected and founded in Ranchi. At the same time, different freedom fighters who belong to the tribal society, their museum and their archival sources had been displayed. At the same time, the Digital India was penetrated the hinterlands of encompassed through this government initiative. Government came with a special program of PM Janman, that is Prime Minister Janjati Adivasi Nyay Maha-Abhiyan, for a special vulnerable regions of the population of the tribal groups. So this PM Janman is a movement or a type of Abhiyan expedition of the government to include the marginalized, ostracized or ignored population of the tribal population to empower them. The government came with the Forest Right Act of 2006 and PESA reinforced, in which Panchayati Raj system was extended to these tribal population as well. Government came with the women-centric development also, like Vandhan Kendras, in which 20% they are led by the women. Women are very much part and parcel of the engine or the agency of these Vandhan Kendras. They decide the seeds. They have very much a strong knowledge about and deep knowledge about the seeds, water, herbal medicines. So they play a crucial role in Vandhan Kendra, and 20% women of the tribal population, they are engaged in that mission. At the same time, self-help group of the women and microfinance. Microfinance is a revolution to empower or to economically viable women through giving a small loan at very, very less, around 3-4% of interest rate to empower and to go for the self-help group. And they found a small type of couture udyog or a small scale industries, medium scale industries, in which they are funded for the startups. That is very much visible in the other part of the country also, but they penetrated to the remote countryside or the tribal population of our country. Through skill development expansions, tribal women, they are trained to learn the skill, like running the sewing machine, like any type of self-help work. They learn some skill and start their own industry, especially the small cottage industries. They are engaged and they became self-independent, self-reliant. So the government programs, the skill development, directly or indirectly, emancipating the tribal population also. At the same time, entrepreneurship and the livelihood, these were diversified. If they have the better choices, like for education, like healthcare, like employment, they can empower better, and diversification engage more and more women in large number. So the tribal population, that those are also very much part and parcel of our government's programs and policies. Now we move to indigenous feminist framework, in which eco-spiritual foundation, community-centered leadership, intergenerational knowledge tradition and transmission, collective agency as identity. There are some bullet points, some important points of the role of the tribal women. Like they are very much close to the nature. They are part of the eco-feminist movement. They are a community that is very much soul. The soul is the women over there. Tribal women, they play a very crucial role over there. And intergenerational knowledge also transmitted through them, because they are the persons. It is called that mother is the first school of any children. So the children are inculcated thoughts, ideas, wisdom and vision, firstly in the plain slate with a fresh brain through their mother. So intergenerational knowledge can be transmitted through the folklores, sometimes rituals, and so many type of activities that every household or the stories every household has or have. So women play a very crucial role in intergenerational knowledge transmissions. At the same time, collective agency as identity core, they play a very crucial role in these activities of transferring knowledge of one generation to the other generation, like even applying like household codes, like their business also, and their own personal hereditary type of occupation, and opportunities, they transfer from one generation to another generation. And the women play a very crucial role. They are the engines of transformation of this knowledge or transmission of knowledge from the one person to the other generation. So Adivasi women, they should be considered as the engines of transformation. The transformation of the community or the empowerment of the community is very, very much visible in the entire globe, especially the world of the tribal population. The legacy of the Bhavan Birsa Munda lives through the women's leadership. Continuum from the Ulgulan to Rastrapati Bhavan. You can easily realize that first women are visible during the Ulgulan or the great tumult under the leadership of Birsa Munda, and the highest post, the summit of the entire democracy, that is the President of India, and our Honorable President of India, Srimati Draupadi Murmu became the president in 2022, and she belongs to a tribal population. It's a great achievement for a tribal woman. So women shaping entire inclusive future for the entire tribal population. Thank you so much.